welcome to the dungeon. I'm Emma, and I run Moser Bikes, a custom frame building company here on Vancouver Island. And this week in the vlog, we are building a rack, which we've done a couple of times in the vlog, but I think that this is the first time that it's for not a wizard. What we've got is this Salsa Cutthroat. It's got this fork that has a ton of mounts on it, but this upper mount, the threaded sleeve that Salsa installed in here has come debonded. I'm kind of surprised that it's just epoxied in there and there's no kind of like mechanical attachment. So what we're going to do is replace it with a rivnut, which will go in here, and then it'll expand, and then I'll also epoxy it into place. So it'll have glue and some mechanical retention. But other than that, it should be pretty simple. Oh, also it's gonna have to have a light mount. And this light looks like it's directional, so I can't hang it upside down, like which is my preference on these, just because it sits better underneath the rack. So I'll have to kind of get it out in front of the rack so that it hangs the right way, because you can see on this light, the way that the light refracts out of here, it's got like, most lights, this pattern is round. This one, it'll be like half round, which makes sense with my hands there. It essentially just keeps the glare out of people coming the other way's eyes, and if you hang it upside down, it doesn't work anymore. So, let's make a rack. On these forks where the thread is fully internal and there's no like bump out like there is on like steel Brazons, or even this rivnut has like a bit of a lip out on it, I run into like clearance issues where I'd have to cut away so much of the inside of the rack material to clear the fork. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make like little spacers to go behind this to bump this whole assembly out, essentially, so it'll sit kind of out here, and I'll braze those right in onto the mount, or I guess the rack itself rather, so that when the customer goes and takes the rack on and off, there's no spacers that actually like fall out. It'll all be attached, but this way I can fully seat the rack to where it needs to be.